Now, if you're not from Texas, you may not know what a hailstorm is. You may not even know what hail is. You may not know how hail can damage roofs and sometimes even make the roof uninsurable. So if you're going to be buying a house in Texas, it's in your best interest to learn a little bit about hail so you know what to ask for when you get to negotiating repairs during the option period. Stick around for this video and I'll tell you all about it. Hail is most common in the central United States, and it usually occurs during the spring and summer months. Warm updrafts push water droplets up into the cold areas of the thunderclouds where the water freezes. Since that ice is heavier, it begins to fall back down towards the earth, but the updraft pushes it back up into the colder areas again. As it does that, the ice combines with other water droplets and it freezes again. So this ice ball keeps getting bigger and bigger. When it gets heavy enough that the updraft can't push it up anymore, it falls to the earth. Now there are a lot of factors that will impact how big those ice balls will get, but sometimes, with the right conditions, they can get the size of golf balls. And by the time they hit the ground, or your car, or the roof, they can cause some serious damage. Now not all hailstorms are going to cause damage like this, but if your house is in the path of a hailstorm, there is virtually nothing you can do to prevent that hailstorm from hitting your house. After a hailstorm comes through, roofing companies will begin soliciting homeowners that were in the path of the storm. The way it works is if the homeowner's insurance approves a roof replacement, the roofing company will get the business and the homeowner will get a new roof. Now it's important to remember that these decisions are made by individuals and these decisions can vary dramatically. A house on one side of the street with insurance company A might get approved for a roof replacement, while a house on the other side of the street with insurance company B does not. But they do approve a lot of them because Texas leads the nation in hail damage insurance claims. Now, if you're living in the house, for the most part, it's not going to matter too much if the insurance company approves or does not approve the roof replacement. Granted, if there was a lot of damage up there, it could lead to future issues like the roof beginning to leak. But if your insurance company assesses that the damage was minor and they don't approve the roof replacement, for the most part, you're probably going to be okay, especially since you're dealing with the same insurance company if there were any kind of issues in the future. But where this can become a major issue is when you're trying to sell the house. Now, first off, if you're selling a house in Texas, you're required to complete what's called the seller's disclosure, where you disclose any known issues with the house. So if you knew that there was existing hail damage, you would be required to disclose that. But if you didn't know that the roof had been damaged, you wouldn't be able to disclose it because you just simply didn't know. Now, if you didn't know that the roof had been damaged, you wouldn't disclose it in the seller's disclosure. But the buyer would find out about it when they had the home inspected. Either way, you're going to be selling a house with hail damage, and any potential buyer is going to be very concerned about the extent of that damage. And probably their biggest concern is whether or not their insurance company is going to insure that roof if there is existing damage. Now, one possible solution is that the roof is replaced, but then the question becomes, who's going to pay for it? If the seller or the seller's insurance company pays for the roof, then that work would need to be completed before the closing date. Another solution would be to leave the roof as is and reduce the price of the house to compensate the buyer for the cost of replacing the roof. But negotiations can break down if there's a difference in opinion on the buyer and seller side on either the extent of the damage and whether or not the roof needs to be repaired, replaced, or anything in between. Now, I understand from a seller's perspective, you want to net the most money. But what about a scenario like this? You didn't know that the roof had been damaged, but the buyer uncovers this in the inspection. If you can't come to an agreement with that buyer on how this roof is going to be addressed, they can terminate the contract during the option period, and then you're still going to have to solve the roof problem. And every other potential buyer is going to have the same concerns. Not to mention that now that you know about the roof damage, you're going to be required to disclose that in the seller's disclosure. Now, from the buyer's perspective, you're buying that house as is. Whether you negotiate the seller complete the repairs or you negotiate a reduction in the cost of the house, when you move in, you're going to be responsible for any future repairs. So, if no repairs are going to be done, it is certainly in your best interest to have an accurate estimate on how much it's going to cost to repair or replace that roof. Because that now is going to be a part of your total cost to buy that house. You might be paying that seller $500,000 for the house, but you're going to be paying that roofing company $30,000 to fix the roof. So your total cost to buy it is now $530,000. If you like this video, you ought to check out this other one that I did. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. All of my contact information is in the video description. So don't be shy. Let's make your real estate dreams come true.